So right now I've had a very frustrating day, and a lot of it is about the idea that people like to plan for things, but right now we're not really planning, we're just speculating. And I don't like speculating. I like to deal with as much certainty as possible. So like back to diagnosis, when the doctors didn't know what to tell me what to do with my baby or myself or my own health and my choices, I was like, what do we know right now? And we just built on that every single day, and that's how I got to today. So I wanted to read you a part from my memoir because it reminds me of all that is possible in moments of confusion and sadness and like actual just devastation. The day before I was discharged, I was given an afternoon pass to go home and see my family. I was so excited to see Gavin that it hurt. Every day I was seeing pictures of him growing. His face was changing and he was looking different from the baby I had left just 2 weeks ago. Being away from Gavin for those 2 weeks was the hardest part of my time in the hospital. I felt like our bond was being tested, a bond I'd worked so hard in our 5 months to cultivate. My brother in law picked me up, and I remember his hug when he got out of the car and he said, I'm sorry this is happening to you. It was the first time in my life that I understood what empathy felt like. Up until then, I was certain people had felt sorry for me most of my life. The only kid in my class with divorced parents. The only student who needed to work in order to help cover the cost of groceries or buy myself nice clothes. The only young student in high school who couldn't handle the pressure of growing up and not feeling supported, to the point of losing my mind and crying in my locker daily for a semester. Apart from life with disease, that was the darkest time of my life. Am I ever glad I went through that before becoming a mother and before dealing with disease? The coping strategies I learned from the mental health professionals when I was a teen set me up for a life of resilience and grit. Being at my mom's place after 2 weeks in hospital felt odd. I felt different. I must have looked different as well because Gavin wouldn't come to me. I was devastated. Richard had to hold him and sit next to me for my baby to stay near me. How had he forgotten me so fast? Every hour in the hospital without him had been interminable for me, but he seemed to be growing used to being without me. He had already grown uncomfortable around me. My mom assured me it would pass, but when I got ready to head back to the hospital a couple of hours later, he was still hesitant to be in my arms. I didn't want to leave. I wanted to bond with my baby. I knew I had no choice really, and that only by being cleared to go back to my own life could I be confident that I was well enough to start to heal on my own. My heart shattered as I left. The doctors must have done this trial evening on purpose. I was discharged the next day. And then just jumping ahead here. Apart from having my mom cook for us, the luxury came from the simple things we often take for granted. I wasn't tied or attached to anything. There were no more morning needles. The sheets were soft and smelled freshly cleaned. There were no chemicals or no smell of no smell of chemicals or medications in the air, and mostly from my bed I could look over and see Gavin. My mom was right. That first night when he woke up and started fussing, I walked over to the crib and put my hand on his tummy, and he knew it was me. Richard called from the bed to tell him not to pick me up, and that he would do it and bring him into the bed so we could all sleep. I'm sure my healing leapt a million steps in that moment. Wow, I did not think I'd get emotional in that moment, but I can really put myself there. It feels like it was a lifetime ago, but it also feels like yesterday. And now that kid will be 11 in a couple of weeks, and our bond is just incredible. So right now we're in such turmoil and not knowing. But there's no but. The big challenge is getting up every day and just letting yourself feel and be and go through the motions. The person that started writing this book 5 years ago couldn't breathe properly. I still can't. You can hear it, but I've gotten used to it. I've gotten used to the fear. I've gotten comfortable in knowing the signs and trusting myself. All of that started with so much unknowing. And as I tell everybody, everyone says, "Oh, you're so strong," and I'm not like you. I'm like, really? I had a reason. My reason was my child, and then my other child that I was carrying in my womb. So whatever it is that's going to get you through this, just lean, hold it close, believe in it, because you can do it. I'm no different than anyone else. I just had something that I wanted more than more than anything, and I wanted to hold my baby, and I wanted to be able to walk without pain. And now I have them. They're upstairs. I was like, can you guys please be quiet? I just want to read this bit, my book, to share with people who might need a little bit of a boost right now. I hope as we go into this holiday weekend here in North America that everyone gets some downtime. Get rid of the labels and the stresses and the have-tos. We're going to be in this for a little while longer, folks, and there's no point rushing the healing process because it will do what it wants to do. Take good care.